AOC hit back against Republicans, Donald Trump, and spokespeople on the right who love to try to bully the youngest representative ever to be elected to Congress. Today, during a speech in Las Vegas, AOC responded to attacks that she is a radical, she's a communist, and yes, she once worked as a waitress in a bar.
So let me share with you exactly what I mean. Because when they like to call us radical, and what they like to call me as radical, I believe is common sense. I believe that when a person gets sick, they shouldn't go bankrupt in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Common sense. I believe that a minimum wage should cover the minimum cost to live. Common sense. And by the way, we should see that not paying a living wage is also a form of corporate welfare and looting, because big companies like Walmart and Amazon often rely on the food stamp program and public coffers to cover the wages that they won't pay. I believe that homes are not slot machines for investors and Wall Street to extort working families out of every last dollar that they have. A home is sacred. And when your landlord jacks up your rent by half overnight, or housing prices skyrocket because Wall Street treats our housing market like a casino, your government should fight for your ability to keep an affordable roof over your head. And finally, I believe our elected officials should take on abuses of corporate greed everywhere they find it. We must get big money out of politics and make clear that our country is not for sale. And that is why I don't and never will take money from lobbyists and corporations.
AOC using the term common sense there, and that's because Donald Trump loves to describe his policies in his utter failure of a second term as common sense policies, despite the majority of Americans not wanting him to do most of the policies that he's enacted, like rename Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. I think it's something like 67% of Americans are just like, why? Also, his attempts to just undermine the federal government every step of the way. Today, he tried to Control-Alt-Delete the Department of Education from the United States. People don't want that. And that's why it's really important that AOC is here talking about these things and standing up to these bullies and ensuring Americans that she is fighting for us. Now, she talked about some major points here: healthcare, minimum wage, Wall Street and housing, corporate greed, and getting money out of politics. That last one, money out of politics, is the key factor to basically make all those other things she talked about fall like dominoes. Healthcare, you've got insurance companies lobbying the government. The minimum wage, you've got corporations who have bought their way into Congress. They essentially own the entire Republican Party, and they do as their corporate bidders tell them to do. Wall Street, same thing. Corporate greed, same thing. Now, AOC also hit back against Republicans who label her as a communist.
You know, Fox News and the right wing will have you believe that these American values are something out of the Communist Manifesto. That we believe these things because we went to college and read them in a book somewhere. But let me tell you, Fox News, I don't believe these things. I don't believe in healthcare, labor, and human dignity because I'm a Marxist. I believe it because I was a waitress. Because I scrubbed toilets with my mom to go to school. Because I've worked double shifts to keep the lights on. And because on my worst day, I know what it feels like to feel left behind. And I know that we don't have to live like this anymore, Las Vegas.
AOC talking about how she used to scrub toilets, how she worked doubles to try to make sure that her lights were on, that she could pay rent, and that she felt left behind. Now, remember, she was talking to an audience in Las Vegas, home to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of sanitary workers, restaurant workers, food and beverage employees, waiters, waitresses, bartenders, the people who work doubles to keep their lights on, their rents paid, and food in their kids' mouths. And so that message really resonates with these people. That's one of the reasons why AOC and Bernie Sanders went there. You also have to remember that Nevada is like a purplish state. And so it's a key battleground for the next presidential election. I do want to talk about AOC and the next presidential election, but first, let's get to AOC responding to Alina Habba, who is a Trump spokesperson who tried to criticize and bully AOC because she worked as a waitress in a bar.
For all the big talk that Republicans and the Trump administration like to flap about working people, if you actually listen carefully, every once in a while they let the mask slip about what they actually think about us. You know, just last week, President Trump's lawyer, her name is Alina Habba, she went on television, and when she actually had to be faced with explaining her job, and when she actually had to be faced with doing her job, this is what she had to say. Quote, what intellectual thought? And she was asked about me. Quote, what intellectual thought? You were in a bar. You were in a bar, AOC, and not to have a drink, but to serve one. And I want you all to understand, and I don't care what this woman says about me, but I want you to understand that she isn't just talking about me here. She's talking about you. She's talking about all of us. Because the entire job of the president's lawyer is to speak for him. Trump hired her to speak for him. So imagine what it means for our country that the president's own lawyer cannot even conceive of a working class person being intelligent simply because of the job that they have. This woman could not even recognize the American dream if it was fed to her on a silver spoon. But understand that this kind of disdain for working people by the most powerful people in this country doesn't just come from not being raised right. It's a shorthand for Elon Musk and Donald Trump's entire political agenda and a certain ugly kind of politics, lying to and screwing over working people so that they can steal from our health care and Social Security and veterans care to pay for tax cuts for the wealthiest and bailouts for their crypto billionaire friends. For this corruption.
AOC is not someone who backs down. If you compare Alina Habba and AOC, it is night and day. AOC is a representative of the people, and she represents the American people, the grit of the American people, far more than Alina Habba could ever dream of. Now, Trump and Habba are very cocky after winning a second term that came after the worst campaign in presidential history. I mean, the amount of lies that Donald Trump told every day on the campaign trail was absurd. And yet they think that they think and they say that they have this big mandate from the American people, despite only winning the popular vote by something like 1.5 million, close to 2 million votes, and the margin in the House of Representatives is paper thin, same as the Senate. So the idea that Trump and Alina Habba are just the cockiest of all cocks doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when you see that Donald Trump is enacting these policies that, again, are telling the American people that he is completely out of touch with them. Like I said, going after the Department of Education, going after kids in order to save Elon Musk and his Mar-a-Lago billionaire buddies their taxes. It's utterly insane. And so I said I wanted to talk about AOC and, the next presidential campaign. If AOC and Bernie Sanders can continue to campaign like this over the next 4 years, then AOC's star can rise. I mean, the sky is the limit as far as I'm concerned. But let me know what your reflections are, what your thoughts are on AOC's words here today in Las Vegas with her campaign rally partner, Bernie Sanders, at the Fight the Oligarchy rally. Share your reflections in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe to Reflect Politics so you get my future videos delivered straight to you. Thanks for watching. My name is Brendan Plank. Hope to see you in the next video.